Janice, are you there?
At your service, sir.
Give me the dating project.
Will do, sir.
When was the last time I went on a date? It's kind of hard to tell. Have you ever gone on an accident where it's like you're not really sure, like one or more of the people is kind of not sure whether or not it's a date? I've gone on a lot of those, but I don't know if that counts.
I wish dating was like the old days where you could just go up to someone, strike a conversation, you know, and it wouldn't be weird.
There's not that, you know, gentleman and lady kind of feel to dating.
What ends up happening is hangouts turn into consistent meeting up, and then usually when you involve alcohol, it turns into a hookup.
What has the society come to that has made it so difficult for us to connect with someone on an emotional, spiritual level to actually embrace the meaning of love?
The dating project proves why men are going their own way. Women prefer hookup culture. Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Shout out to our Patreon supporter, Mr. AS, for sending us this video. He said, MHD, watch this video, it's pure gold. And pure gold it is. This trailer of the dating project movie got us really excited to do some more research on this topic and make a video MHD style. The dating project follows 5 single people that try to figure out dating in the age of social media, texting, hanging out, and hooking up. It was the role of Dr. Carrie Cronin in this movie that was the most exciting for us. So she will be the main focus of this video. Patreon supporters, salute! Thank you for your support. Now it's time for us to dive into this and do what we have to do. Because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we? Shit.
For the first time in history, 50% of Americans are single. Now, given the hookup culture, technology, social media, have young people lost the skills necessary to date, let alone fall in love and marry?
We talk about divorce being 50%. We talk about 70% of divorces are initiated by women. And now it's time to talk about 50% of Americans being single. When you talk about such a big number, which represents half of the Americans, in this case from the age of 18 to 34, we can conclude that compared to the 22% singles in the 1950s, something is not working. Something is not working how it used to work. What used to work doesn't work today. This is where Dr. Carrie Cronin comes in.
It isn't that I'm trying to go back to the 1950s and say, oh, there's some great era of dating, but there were good things to be retrieved from that era. Look, it's a script that works like manners work, right? Manners are there to make you feel like you know what you're doing and that you know what to expect.
You see, the script of the 50s, basically the traditional way, does not work in modern society. But like Dr. Cronin says, this doesn't mean it's a bad script and no good things can be taken away from it. So what script are we using today?
Hookup culture is promising you that when you're a young adult, or even into your 20s, this is going to be the easy, casual thing without having to put in a lot of commitment, time, energy, drama. So I say to students, you're willing to sort of make out with somebody for 5 hours, take off some of your clothes or all your clothes, do some stuff that's very intimate, and that's more casual than just going for a cup of coffee with someone. And once you say that, they kind of say, oh yeah, okay, that doesn't make any sense. They know that it doesn't make any sense. They want the way out, but nobody's really offering it.
Where is this coming from? Why is it easier to hook up than actually going for a cup of coffee and having a conversation? This is where the dating project comes in. Dr. Cronin's dating assignment is an assignment she requires of a freshman at Boston College. And we're going to show you a clip of Dr. Cronin explaining some of the rules. Check this out.
Here's the rules. 2 weeks. You have to ask somebody out in person. This is important for you because you guys, you know who you are. You think like this is like actual communication with somebody. It's not. The person has to know it's a date. It's a date when it's just the 2 of you. This should be a level 1 date. This is important. The levels are important. The first level date should not cost more than $10. You ask, you pay.
When you hear these rules, in modern times, these things are still expected from men. We have to ask women out. We have to plan the date, in this case a level 1 date, which means coffee level dates. And of course, we have to pay. Now, she's teaching a mixed class, This means women also have to follow these rules because modern society is about equality, right? This is where the problems come in.
I think, you know, and sometimes I go to schools and I say, if you ask somebody on a date, you pay. And young women will say to me, oh, well, I don't believe in that. I really believe in the traditional format. And I say, well, isn't that easy for you? But here's the thing. You need to pay and you need to ask because everybody needs to be courageous in this culture because nobody's getting any help. And we can't leave it just up to the guys. Everybody needs to step up and be courageous.
Ah, women have a problem with paying. This means they have a problem with asking. This means in this particular situation, they prefer the traditional script. This is not a coincidence, guys. This strong and independent foolishness goes straight out the window when it comes to fear of rejection. You can change the environment, but you can't change female nature. Now let's get into what happens with female behavior in modern times.
I find that it's easy to talk to guys that I'm just friends with. Like, I'll be talking to Matt and I'll be totally fine and like goofing off, but like my crush will like walk through the door and I'll be silent. It's embarrassing because people like fear rejection. It's like, I like you, but what if you don't like me back? So I'm just not gonna say anything until you give me a sign.
She has no problem talking to the guy she friend zoned, but she can't move when it comes to her crush. That's normal, right? But let's take it a step further, because the assignment was to ask someone out who you are genuinely interested in.
What did you discover?
That I just liked him because of how he looked, more than like I didn't like him for his personality.
Right.
And it was like a harsh reality check when I realized that like he completely was not the person I thought he was.
You want to fall in love with someone who has the kind of character that you're looking for.
Well, what if I had the character and not, like, I feel like you need to be physically attracted to someone. My friends and I do that all the time. We'll be talking and like, right, this guy's so nice, he's so sweet, so well-rounded, but we don't go for those guys. He's like perfect husband material. I wish I could like put him on reserve to be my husband.
This is gold. Where did we hear that before, guys?
We met 15 years ago at one of my house parties and we were friends, and then we reconnected 2019, Thanksgiving in the Hamptons, and we've been inseparable ever since.
It's so weird that it's about the timing, right? Because you met him, but it wasn't the right time for him or for you, and then it just seems like he's like the perfect guy for you.
He really is.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for a nice guy yet.
Women know very well what a quote-unquote good man is. They're just not attracted to him. Please watch the full Paris Hilton video because she explains everything about nice guys finishing last. Do you understand now where that phrase, "where did all the good men go," comes from? They put you on reserve for when they hit the wall, and they are shocked when these men are no longer available to them. And what this young lady said proves why we have a hookup culture. Check this out.
And yet, in the midst of that, your research reveals men, more than young women, crave relationships.
Absolutely.
They crave this deep connection.
Yeah.
Why is that? What's happened to girls? That's my question.
Well, yeah, that's a great question. So what happened to me was that when I first stumbled into this conversation with young adults, I didn't know that I brought with me a bias, that I just assumed that, oh, guys want a quick hit, and then women really wanted to date.
Right.
But over the years, I've really changed my mind about that. I really hear from many young men, I would really like to date, but when you ask a girl out, she looks at you like, what are you talking about? Are you, you want to get married tomorrow? I'm not into that. That's too intense. That's too serious.
This is pure gold. So I did some more digging and I found another interview of Dr. Carrie Cronin with Catholic World Report. And this part of the interview led to the title of this video. This is the question: were there any surprises? Cronin says, yes, I previously assumed the men had wanted the hookup culture, for example, and were resistant to dating. It was the women, I thought, who were looking for relationships. But I discovered quite the opposite was true. Young adult men are looking for relationships, but it was the women who didn't want them and prefer the hookup culture. Women control the hookup culture and are perpetuating it. This is gold, I tell you. This is why we started this channel, because we wanted to highlight these things and provide some light in these dark times. This space is growing for a reason. Men are looking for answers, confirmation, because you probably thought you were crazy. Brother, you're not crazy. You're just red pill. Let's take it a step further.
And I often say to young men who will say to me, well, you know, I'll say, you're going to ask some girl out, and here's what she's going to do. She's going to say yes. She's going to look like she's a deer in headlights a little bit. She's going to say yes. And then 24 hours later, she's going to text you and say, this is just friends, right? And I'll tell you what happened. She went back and talked to 108 of her closest friends, and they all weighed in about this. And they're all skittish and nervous about it.
The sisterhood's approval is essential. So if it's not Chad who's asking her on a date, then the sisterhood is gonna reject this date. Women fear the rejection of the sisterhood more than they fear rejection by men. A while back, we made a video about a quote-unquote unicorn that went to college with traditional values. Like most girls, she was looking for Chad, and Chad did not want to be in a relationship. But still, she let him smash because the sisterhood gave her the green light. It all comes together. And of course, we can't overlook Affinism.
When I visit campuses, the girls now, I don't want letters about this. I'm just speaking truth here. Young ladies, there was a time when young women could domesticate and control the situation and taught a boy how to become a man. Today, the culture has taught women how to become boys.
Oh, interesting.
That is a bad recipe.
Right.
Now the guardrails are off. And I think this is, then the hookup thing, you need two to tango in the hookup thing.
Absolutely.
Affinism is the culture. And before he goes into it, he says that he doesn't want any letters because he knows what he's about to say is not politically correct in this Affinist society. Women are raised to be like men, and it's not working when it comes to healthy relationships. Like the man said, this is a bad recipe. It's a bad script. The results speak for themselves. Yesterday we made a video highlighting in marriages where both partners have a college degree, the wives initiate a staggering 90% of divorces. Men are confronted with this foolishness on a daily basis. Are you still surprised that men decide to go their own ways? The results are in.
This is the final question.
Okay.
I've saved probably the most difficult for last.
Oh my.
You are the dating dog. And yet, you're single.
I am.
Now,
yes.
And
Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.